Welcome to Breathe, Love, Parent, the Shine On podcast. I'm your host, Rach, yoga teacher, natural mama, and passionate guide in all things nervous system and connection. This is your space for honest conversations, emotional wellbeing tools, and mindful parenting insights. Whether you're in the thick of meltdowns or seeking a moment of calm, you belong here. Let's take a breath together and begin. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Shine On podcast. I'm Rachel, and I'm so glad you're here for this conversation. Today's episode is deeply personal and one that so many of us move through quietly, sometimes with confusion, sometimes with grief, and sometimes with beautiful, fierce awakening. And today we're talking about reclaiming your identity in motherhood. Because when we become mothers, we change, but we don't disappear. Motherhood for many of us can feel like a surrender of who we once were. The spontaneity, the space, the ability to finish a thought or a hot cup of tea, the hobbies, the work, the freedom to follow an impulse. And in those early months and years, so much of our energy is outward to your babies, to your household, to the never-ending list. But if we're not careful, we can forget to turn some of that attention inward. And that's where we start to feel the ache. Now, I feel like this episode needs a lot of space, and I hope that I can do it justice because it's a conversation that I think we all want to have. And perhaps we're not fortunate enough to have this conversation with people that we feel safe with or we feel get what we're going through. And if this does bring up anything, I encourage you to reach out to someone for support, whether that be a close family, a friend, or looking at external supports. And I can recommend some great psychologists and somatic therapists and counselors and coaches should you need someone. But there's also some support services available as well, which I'll include in the show notes. So today I'm going to talk about my journey, and that includes the evolution of the flowing mother. And I really am going to get very honest with myself here in this conversation. And I have to be honest with, I really struggled. I found my start to motherhood was not easy. My birth with my first baby was traumatic. And I had a few issues at the beginning, even just things like feeding issues, sleeping issues. And I didn't have much support around me. And I felt like I was failing motherhood. And then that also created some resistance within myself about accepting and stepping fully into the role of mother. So I really want to acknowledge that as well. And then I fell pregnant again with my second. And since falling pregnant with my second born baby, I've made it my mission to grow into what I call the flowing mother. So a mother who's not rigid or perfect or ticking boxes, but one who's deeply attuned to her body, her emotions, her nervous system, her joy, and therefore deeply attuned to the needs of her children. I've been really conscious about becoming a mother who knows she has needs and honors those needs. A mother who models presence, not martyrdom. And let me be honest, that didn't come naturally. This hasn't been an easy journey to get to. It's taken a lot of conscious effort, a lot of deep healing, a lot of inner work, and facing some really uncomfortable, brutal truths and having to go through the process of growth, which, look, I'm hopeful that if you're listening to this, you can resonate with a spiritual growth journey, which at times is fucking awful. I'm sorry, excuse the French, but it is like being pushed into a pressure cooker and like feeling like you're going to explode before coming out the other side in like this sometimes euphoric growth period. But the path of spiritual awakening can be rough. And there were days, even sometimes weeks, I felt lost. Like the me I once knew had been packed away with my pre-baby genes and adult social life. But slowly, with grace and curiosity, I've began to reclaim her through micro rituals, through skincare that made me feel like me again, through yoga, writing, reading, even if it was just a page at a time, through setting boundaries. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. And through remembering I am more than their mother, I am me. And this matters. And the truth is, your identity matters, not just for you, but for your kids. Because when you show up for yourself, when you nurture the parts of you that exist beyond motherhood, you give your children something invaluable: permission. Permission to grow, permission to change, permission to be many things at once. Our children, they don't need us to serve and protect and love them. They need us to model aliveness. They need to see us being curious and creative, messy, joyful, courageous, and whole. And I've found in my experience, since I've been stepping into my motherhood journey with more acceptance, I'm noticing my children being able to step into themselves more too. Now, I'm going to share two little practices that I've used myself that have helped me grow into my motherhood journey. And the first one came probably when my firstborn was about 18 months. And something that I noticed when I became a mum or when I became pregnant was that people kept telling me to keep, don't let, there was a frequent saying of don't let the baby change who you are. Or you don't work around the baby, let the baby work around you. And I really struggled with that because my lifestyle that I was living, there's no way that my baby could have lived that. And as I'm sharing this, I'm really aware that this is my perspective. Okay. So if you feel differently to what I'm about to say, then please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But in my experience, like I was ready to change. I feel like stepping into motherhood takes such grace and surrender and acceptance, and that I can't be the same person that I was because that person, like, was so free spirited and had so much free time and was so spontaneous and zesty and alive. And I really lived my life. I traveled all the time. I was, here, there, and everywhere. I would spend like days out just like mountain biking. Can't do that with a child. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do any of these things. This was my choice. That when I realized that I had to let go of the maiden and step into the mother, that was the moment, and it was almost like the day that I came up against less resistance, that I started to soften. And one of the things that I did was I wrote a letter to my maiden self, and I thanked her. I thanked her for being the woman that she was, for taking life by the balls, so to speak, for the life that we shared together, the lessons that we learned together, and everything we did to get us to this point of stepping into motherhood. And it was a real moment of gratitude, so opening my heart space and thanking and allowing myself to grieve. Because I feel like too, like we become mums, we become parents, and it's, you should be happy. This is a blessing. And particularly like my friends that have gone through IVF or assisted pregnancies, they just felt so much guilt that they had to love every minute of motherhood. And I don't know who you are. I don't even know if Mother Teresa loved every minute of being Mother Teresa. I just don't think you can, because you are a human having a human experience and you can't love everything about everything. We have a range of emotions. There are emotion wheels of all the things that you can feel and experience, because humans should feel and experience a range of emotions, right? Like we get shown we have lessons reoccur in our life. We get shown challenges that we have to overcome to grow as people, to be able to feel, to embody our learnings and our wisdom. So I just want to share that with you that if you are in your motherhood journey and you're feeling guilt, firstly acknowledge that, thank guilt for being there, but let it go because you're not going to love all of it because parenting is tough. In my experience, parenting is bleeping hard sometimes, right? Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that. Allow the grief and process the grief like you would. Thank yourself. Yeah. So anyway, I wrote this letter and I encourage you, if you feel attuned to that, to do the same. Thank yourself for where you've been, what wisdom you've gained, and how that's helped you and how that's supported you in motherhood, your motherhood journey so far, and really acknowledging that. And I remember so explicitly doing this. I actually wrote it on my phone when my daughter had RSV, and so she had to sleep upright on me. I was pregnant at the time. And anyway, it was quite an interesting thing 'cause she ended up sleeping on my legs, so I ended up feeling like I had peg legs because I had this big belly that she couldn't sleep up on, but she slid down through the night. And I remember just laying there and I was like, I just have to surrender. I can't fight this. I need to acknowledge where I am in my life. And that practice that was the beginning of a shift for me. And this is not I want to preface this too with it wasn't like I did not accept being a mum at all by this point or anything like that. I wasn't neglecting my child. I wasn't neglecting myself. My children are safe. Like, in case someone's listening, oh, it wasn't anything like that. It was just more of an internal process. So that was the first practice that I wanted to share with you. And again, as I constantly share, if there's anything that I suggest and you're like, oh, I'm going to give that a try, I would be so open to receiving and listening to your experience because that would really light me up to hear how this lands for you. And the second practice, and this is something I really have done recently. Now, when I fell pregnant with my firstborn, I kept all of my clothes. And I don't really, I got married. Anyway, we conceived on my honeymoon. So, I got married, we fell pregnant on the honeymoon. This all happened pretty quickly. But, leading into the wedding, I bought all these nice new clothes, brought all these beautiful dresses for the honeymoon. And anyway, I never really worn them. So I was like, oh, I'll keep them. But anyway, yeah, I had in my cupboard all my clothes that weren't stained or anything like that. And I've held on to them until recently. So that's gone through pregnancy, birth, changing body with my firstborn, pregnancy, birth, changing body again. And I hadn't realized the effect of actually leaving the things in my cupboard. And there'd been a couple of times that I'd dipped in and out of the bag or whatever and been like, oh, does this fit you? Oh, no, it doesn't fit. Or it will. Or yeah, it fits, but it doesn't really look right or whatever the situation may be. And I'd put it back. And I hadn't actually realized the subconscious impact this was having on me. And it wasn't until I was having a conversation with someone and they were talking about resistance. And the conversation was around oh, subconscious suffering in motherhood. And I was like, nah, fully denied it. I was like, no, not me. That's not my situation. Anyway, I sat with that and I actually did a journaling prompt. I did my own journaling process and I just really followed this process of, okay, what am I noticing? What am I feeling when I'm looking at these clothes? Who do I want to be? What does this flowing mother look like? What does she wear? And one of the things was, and it's a simple, again, my experience was I just want to be practical. At this point in my time of this season, this point in time in my life, I need pockets. Yeah, I'm sure you get me, ladies. If I'm wearing a dress, I need pockets. I need tights. I need all my, if I've got bike shorts underneath the dress, they need pockets. Give me all the pockets. So that's something. I need to be able to move in the clothes that I wear. I don't want my midriff showing, right? This is just not me right now. I don't need the side cuts out in my dress. the, my body has changed. It will change again. I'm still currently breastfeeding. Anyway, I ended up basically I did this journaling process, and I picked up, like the Marie Kondo style, like if it gives you joy, I picked up and held every piece of clothing. I envisioned myself wearing it. Some things I tried on, and if it didn't feel right, I got rid of it. I ended up throwing like 90% of the stuff. I donated it because I was like, this is not me anymore. This is not the flowing mother. This is not practical. This doesn't support my journey. And the weight I felt, like lovingly eliminating these things from my home, was like, yeah, it was amazing. It felt amazing. I felt rejuvenated. I felt so much more connected to myself. And I hadn't even realized like the subconscious pressure I was putting on myself to fit into these things or keep these things. And then following that, I ended up booking myself a styling session with David Jones. And yeah, anyway, I only brought a couple of pieces, but I've got 3 or 4 pieces that are just like kind of standard that fit my body now and I feel great in now, and support this, this identity of the mother that I am embracing. And yeah, so they're 2 practical things that, should you choose to, may help you in your motherhood identity. And I wonder if by taking on these actions, if it does impact like your mental capacity, like your mental well-being. Is there a subconscious belief there, like that might be there that you're not aware of? And if you are interested in the journaling that I did, just send me a message and I'll pass that on to you as well. Yeah. Anyway, I might even, again, side note, I know as I'm recording these, I'm like, oh, that would be a great idea. But I might even do a journaling prompt for you, like a guided journaling prompt. So if you would like that, again, get in contact with me and I'm more than happy to do that for you. Yeah. Okay. So let's reflect. So take a breath with me now, right here. Let's take an inhale and an exhale. Feel your feet. Notice how you're sitting or moving, and let this moment be for you. Now ask yourself, what part of me have I been missing? Is it your creative self, your social self, your sensual self, your silly self? Let her speak. Let her rise. Maybe she's been dormant, not gone. Maybe you don't need to go back to who you were. Maybe you're becoming someone new, someone deeper, someone more expansive. And maybe that version of you is exactly who your children need to see. So let's take a breath to close that. Take an inhale and an exhale, letting it all go. Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you today, I would be so grateful from you to share it with someone that you felt also needs to hear this message. And I'd love to hear from you. So send me a message, leave a review, or share this episode with another mama who might be feeling a little lost in the blur of giving and doing. And I want you to know you're not alone in this. And you're allowed to take up space in your own story. And if this is a whole new chapter, girl, if this is a whole new book, embrace it, right? Let's rewrite the story together. If you have any more questions, I'm, again, happy to share more. If you want a bit more about this and my journey, more specifically what I've done, I'm more than happy to share that with you. I'd just love to know what's resonating with you and what you want to know. Yeah, okay, well, let's leave that there. So until next time, breathe, laugh, and parent, and know you're doing beautifully. And of course, keep shining, beautiful people. Bye. Thank you for joining me on Breathe, Laugh, Parent. If this episode brought you a moment of calm or connection, please share it with a fellow mama. Subscribe on your favourite platform or visit shineom.com.au/podcast for more. Until next time, keep breathing, laughing, and parenting with heart. The information shared on Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast is for general educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, therapeutic, or professional advice and should not be relied on as such. Always consult a qualified health or parenting professional for support tailored to your individual needs. Shine On and its guests disclaim any liability for decisions made based on this content.